Good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 4 of our it100 course. This is Mark, your instructor here, and I hope that the class is going good for you so far and that you're learning some things as we look at really a basic introduction to computers and computer concepts and things like that. This week, as we start week 4, we are going to be taking a look at what we would call software as a service, downloading software from the internet or the cloud and using it, or using DVDs or CDs or discs, that sort of thing. Just how do we get to our software? And I'm more of an old school, if you will, computer user. Been doing it for a very long time. Got my degree from National College many years ago. And when I first started getting into to computers, when we wanted to buy software or use software, we'd actually take, I think it was 5 1/4 inch discs or 3.5 inch discs, load in the software one disk at a time, put it on our hard drive, hope that our hard drive would be big enough to hold the software, and then we would use it. Use software usually came with a security key that proved that you bought it or that you had to have to load it. And obviously, in those days, you had some of the same issues you have in other ways today in terms of piracy and things like that, as people shared disks amongst computers and that kind of thing. And one person would buy it, and maybe 4 or 5 people would really steal it or pirate it and use it. But in those days, that's kind of the way it was done. And so you'd go to a store, maybe a computer store, and buy a big old box, and inside that box may be 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 4 DVDs, CDs, 3.5 inch discs, if you will, and you'd buy that, take it home, load it. A lot of times it would come with a small manual on how to use the software and that kind of thing, and that's kind of ancient world now. Today, in many, many ways, we use what we call software as a service, or SaaS. You are probably more familiar with that. Software as a service is like a subscription service, if you will. If I'm using Microsoft Office, I may go out to the internet, to the Microsoft website, and subscribe as a student, as an instructor, as a business, or whatever, and that subscription allows me to use a certain number of the Microsoft Office products for however long the subscription is, maybe for a year or whatever. And then at the end of that year or subscription cycle, you would have to repay, as the software would really just kind of turn off, if you will, and you'd have to pay to keep the software turned on. So there's some pros and cons to all of that. That's what we'll be talking about this week. When I think of the CDs or the DVDs or the 3.5 inch discs, obviously that's labor intensive, as I've got to sit there and load one disc after another into the computer. I've got to hope that my hard drive is big enough to hold all of that, and it can be very laborious. So if I'm a person buying it for home, that might be an okay option. Again, as long as my hard drive is big enough. But if I'm an administrator in a company that has very many people, you can imagine the headache is the administrator has to go to every computer in the business and load all those disks manually into each person's computer. So it didn't take long in the business world to find out that manually loading software like that was really not a good option. One other option that is good about it is once I buy it, I own it, and I can use it really forever as long as I have it and have the key to it, if you security key to it. The only problem with that is some of the versions of the software may get old, or not do what you want it to do anymore, and you'd have to buy an upgraded version. However, some software would work, pretty good forever. My father-in-law, for an example, uses Microsoft Excel. He bought it, loaded it on a machine from a CD or a DVD, and he's used it for 25 years. He has no need to use for any of the fancier things that Excel can do. So what he does, the old version works just fine. So that's some benefits there. You're also don't have all that. You don't have security issues that you have to worry about as you think about downloading software from the cloud and that kind of thing. So It's an old way of doing it, not necessarily the great way of doing it, but it does have its benefits. Secondly, we have SaaS or software as a service. We go out to the internet, obviously, we download it, we pay our subscription fee, and we can use all of that software and just the software that we paid for, and then just re-up if we need it. We can make adjustments. Maybe we buy a student version this year and a professional version next year. The other thing that's good about a subscription service is I usually will have access to the most latest, greatest version of the software, and that may or may not be of use to you. The other thing that is good is, as an administrator, I can sit at my desk in the IT office and load software as a service, if you will, in any number of computers across the company, even if those computers are a different location. So software as a service makes it a lot easier to administrate the software, if you will. So those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about this week in our discussions, and you're going to be reading about it in your textbook and writing about it and that sort of thing. I do want to encourage you that it's week 4, so please take a look at the grade book. Make sure you don't have anything missing. We will have our first residency, I think it is, coming up here very shortly, and I look forward to working with you in that. If you have any kind of questions or concerns, please let me know. I'll see you in class.